Welcome to the Pickleball Recovery Podcast, where we highlight products and practices to help you feel better faster, so you can spend less time stiff, sore, and injured, and more time on the court doing what you love. What's up? Welcome to Pickleball Recovery. This is your host, Tim Ringgold. I am so happy you are here today. We have a hilarious, really just great interview with none other than Patrick Sullivan Jr. from Jigsaw Health, where we just fly free along the tangent highway. So, strap in and buckle up because it is loads of fun. This man is absolutely hilarious and incredibly smart. And we do absolutely get to like the really good stuff at some point. I don't remember when, but we just had too much fun along the way. Interviews shouldn't be this much fun, but I'm very grateful that they are because their tagline is "It's fun to feel good." And, fun is a part of their culture, and you can just tell throughout this entire interview. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pickleball Recovery Podcast, where we focus on the 40-plus pickler to help them feel better faster so they can spend more time on the court doing what they love, which is playing pickleball.
Amen.
And I have beside me here none other than Mr. Patrick Sullivan Jr. Of Jigsaw Health. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thanks for making time.
For sure.
So let's start out with a little bit of backstory about who you are and your relationship to the brand. So tell everybody, introduce yourself.
My dad and I started Jigsaw Health in 2005.
Okay.
He is the mad scientist formulator.
Got it.
Ashley and I, my wife, she and I run the operations.
Okay.
And we have a lot of fun at the office. In fact, our tagline is, do you remember it?
It's fun to feel good.
I hope you would remember because it's so good. Ashley
so
came
good.
up with that, by the way.
It's really good. Well done, Ashley.
It's
Plus
never
one.
wrong either. When the pandemic hit, we were like, ooh, because we had just I think we had changed our tagline in August of 2019 to it's fun to feel good. We used to be the magnesium people. I mean, it was
okay.
Because if we get into that, you'll find out that magnesium is incredibly important for recovery, which
100%.
is why Jigsaw Health makes a number of great products featuring magnesium.
Yep.
But we were working with a great marketing guru consultant, Michael Fishman. Shout out to him.
Oh, I know Michael Fishman.
Do you really?
Yeah, Consumer Health Summit.
That's right.
Yeah, brilliant guy.
Excellent.
Lovely man.
Yeah, he worked with us for a little over a year to
Outstanding.
sort of change some of our branding and our tone. And he was like, guys, we got to work on the magnesium people. That's not a good impression of Michael at all.
No. But if you know Michael, that was in the ballpark. there was an element and an essence of Michael in there.
That's right. And he led us to it's fun to feel good. Ashley, and really Ashley kind of says that Natalie, who is our COO, said something that she thought she heard Natalie say that, but I give credit to Ash. I mean, look, it's always a team effort, no matter what happens, but it's fun to feel good. That ain't no lie. And it's true during a pandemic as well.
Yeah, 100%. And so your dad is the mad scientist behind the scenes.
Correct.
And then you are definitely part of the face, because if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this on YouTube and you're like me, how you first were introduced to Jigsaw Health was through some hilarious commercials during breaks while watching, PPA or APP on YouTube or on Facebook when they'd cut to commercial. There are some commercials out there in the pickleball world that could use some help, and then the Jigsaw Health commercials come in and save the day. It's like the Super Bowl commercials. Like the Jigsaw Health commercials are like a next level.
Thank you.
Oh, 100%. And my favorite is probably when Lucy walks in and wrecks the office. Not today. and I always think, as someone who's kind of got a class clown in me, I
can see that.
I try to imagine how hard you guys laugh when you hit cut.
Yes.
That must have been so much fun. That Lucy, we want you to just wreck everything.
That's right.
And she just looked at you like, really? You want me to do that? And yes, we do. Okay.
Yeah, Lucy had no problem getting into character. Not today.
Not today. Hunk.
That's a wicked backhand.
Patrick, are we almost done? Because I'd like to play some pickleball.
Lucy, I'm making art here. Did Michelangelo take a break to play soccer? Wait, Did Michelangelo take a break from painting the Sistine Chapel to play soccer? Places, everyone.
If you need me to sit in, I can do it.
That's RJ, our actual sound man.
Outstanding.
Gosh, yeah, we have a lot of fun coming up with these concepts, working with the pros to bring them to life. A lot of people ask, like, where do these ideas come from? Because we've made, I think, something like 60 commercials.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a lot of diversity in there. And it actually begins, Ashley and I, my wife again, Ashley, we start every day, after drinking coffee and making passionate love. We then go on a walk, usually about 8 a.m., and we come up with these sort of ideas. And it starts with the premise. And Ashley is masterful with the premise. Like one of the great ones will say, like, okay, Catherine Parenta, right? It's like, well, what is she known for? I'm like, well, I mean, she goes after every shot and gets hurt a lot. Like, she's putting bandages on. And so we're like, okay, how can we explore that idea? And Ash was like, what if we had like a pickleball injury support recovery group? And we're like, if the premise makes us laugh, we know we have something that we can work on.
Yes, totally. You're like, oh, that'll in preacher terms, that'll preach.
That'll preach.
That'll preach. Right there. Go with it. Go. I love where you're going. Go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's really strong. So that's a great way, and particularly because you're outside and you're walking, you're out in nature, You're moving your body, you're moving your bloodstream. Like, I know for me, I'm an idea guy as an entrepreneur, and a lot of my ideas come during running when I'm running outdoors and like doing hills and trails, but not on a treadmill like a lab rat, but outdoors. There's something about that that's just like, and there's like birds chirping and there's strings playing in the background. No, there's no strings.
Have a quartet follow you?
Yes, I do. I'm that rich.
Wow.
I know.
Fantastic.
And they can play while running. They
sick. Must really be good.
Yeah. I mean, Irina's got sick tricks, but there's nothing sicker than a quartet who can play while running.
I mean, especially the cellist.
I mean, she's huge.
Let's edit that part out in case she sees it. I think she's going to take that the wrong way.
No, man. She's beaten me up before, so,
It'll just be another beating.
It'll just be another beat down.
Does she have an accent like Lucy?
Of course she does.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It does make sense.
Eastern Europeans.
Look
out, man.
That's it. And they're all well-trained in
like,
Kung Fu, little-known secret,
Yes.
and string quartet chamber music.
She's going to smack you and be like, break's over.
That's exactly. Back to running. Pick up your pace. Faster. Shorter stride.
That's right.
This is not legato. This is adagio. Let's go. Sorry, guys.
This guy, I mean, that's classical training for you right there.
There you go. In my other life, I am a classically trained musician, so
beautiful.
It sneaks in from time to time. But
I am not a classically trained musician, but I do have quite an assortment of electric guitars.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Well, Ashley and I played in a band together. That's where a lot of this stuff comes from.
Really?
Yeah, we were in a band. We did corporate events and weddings. She's a singer. I'm a guitar player / DJ. So, basically lighten up the room to create the entertainment.
Totally. Okay, so do you I should ask Ashley this, if you have a bad case of gas. Are you familiar with that acronym?
No, but she would still say yes.
Well, GAS is short for Guitar Acquisition Syndrome, where you just see another one, and you've got room in your closet.
Yeah.
And so you're like, yep, you're coming home with me tonight.
It has happened.
How's your gas?
It's a case. It's a case.
You've got a case of gas.
Yeah. The closet is full, though.
It is.
Yeah. So I haven't bought any guitars in probably 3 years,
okay.
So I think we may have solved it.
Either that or you need to buy a bigger house. Because either the women need more closets for clothes or the guys need more closets for guitars.
That's a good point. Well,
and that's not stereotyping anybody.
No, of course not.
No.
Of course not. I mean, for something to be funny, it has to have an element of truth.
That's it. So for the guys out there who play guitar, they know what we're talking about because guitar cases take up space.
That's right.
Even if you hang them on the wall and you're like, haha, watch this, wall
That's
decor,
right.
2 for 1.
That's right.
You still have cases.
What podcast is this again?
Yeah, exactly. This is the Tangent Podcast.
Oh, well, we're doing good on that.
Yes. So I am Tim. I have ADD. Just try to keep up. So, but that is a true story. And in my other life as a music therapist, whenever I run groups for people, I tell them that every time. I'm like, this will not go twice the same way. Let me try that again. This will not go the same way twice. So strap in and buckle up. And people are just like, okay.
And they pay you for this?
They pay me well. It's
My
the best.
goodness.
I know. They haven't figured it out yet.
No, well, because it's never the same twice.
That's right. That's right. See, improvisation.
But it's always good.
It's always good.
That's the amazing thing.
Because it always has music. So, but this is not a music podcast. This is a recovery podcast. And the reason it is because I discovered pickleball about a year and a half ago. And like most people, I was a kid again. Mm-hmm. When you go out on the court, there's this playfulness that is part of pickleball that's unique. And the lower the level, the more the laughter.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a sport that's fun to not be good at yet. It's unlike other sports where it's not cool to be a duffer. It's actually a lot of fun.
Yep.
It's very funny. And so you just want to keep going. And then you realize your body is like, I'm not 18 anymore.
Yep.
I'm going to hurt you very soon. And then someone says the 3 words, right? One more game.
Yep.
And you're like, oh no, not OMG. One more game. Sure.
Sure.
What could go wrong?
That's right.
Like one more run skiing. What could go wrong?
That's right.
And
play
then,
one more game 5 or 6 times.
That's it. And then sooner or later something strains, it snaps, it cracks, it pops.
It's definitely sore.
It's sore. Yep. And the guy I started playing with, we heard his calf muscle pop on the court like someone had like hit like the wall, and we were like and it was a classic case of this thing. So it got me really interested in like, well, what are the products and the resources and the practices out there that keep people on the court so they're not nursing injuries all the time?
Is that why I'm on this podcast?
That's why you're here.
This makes so much more sense now.
See, we're starting to get there. I tried to go a full 30 minutes before we got to it, but I don't think I got there. I think
that makes sense
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I saw your commercials about Pickleball Cocktail, particularly the DJ mix, which is one of the best videos of the year. You should have won a VMA for that. And I started to think, oh, is that something I'm going to need? And I just started using it. At my first tournament, I was dying. This is the OC Cup in San Clemente, and it's hot and it's dry. So my body's getting dehydrated, but I don't notice because I'm not really sweating. And I'm starting to cramp. And I went to the tent, and they were like, you need to put this in your water bottle.
Yeah.
I have a Tyson McGuffin 1-gallon water bottle,
yes,
which is really good on the water, but unfortunately, it doesn't come with the electrolytes pre-made.
No, they haven't figured out that technology yet.
No. It leaches other things, but you have.
But we have. Yeah, so you went to the Jigsaw Health, you saw the sign that said it's fun to feel good, and you said, I don't feel good, but I do like having fun.
And I'd like
what
to
can
have
you
more
put
of
in this Tyson McGuffin bottle for me?
Yep.
And they put in Pickleball Cocktail.
They did.
Did they also do the dance? It's Pickleball Cocktail. It's Pickleball Cocktail. I don't cramp. They're supposed to. They're contractually obligated every time.
I don't want to throw them under the bus, so I will say, Senator, I do not recall.
Pleading the fifth.
That was
okay.
All right. It's diplomatic. Diplomatic.
I'm going to go check the employee log sheets, find out who was there. We're going to do a full-scale investigation. It's going to be a real big problem for someone. Maybe you, Julie.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
That's always the case.
It is. It's a good way to go.
Oh, yeah.
So that was my introduction to you guys. And so I was like, who are these guys? What do they do? They have funny commercials, but they have a real product. And I started using it.
That's
and
weird.
Sure, and I know, God forbid, it's not just fluff. There's actual substance here, people. And so I was like, this is really cool. And then as I started to explore the products, there are some very specific products that are kind of like good for during, but then also good for after.
The hydration stack, the Pickleball hydration stack, includes starting your day with a cocktail.
Nice.
Pickleball cocktail, 7 a.m.
That's right.
Finally, a cocktail you can drink without feeling bad that you didn't call your sponsor.
Right.
And the reason Pickleball cocktail, we call it Pickleball cocktail, is a number of reasons. It was a combination of something I was doing for myself when I started to, like you, get into pickleball, become addicted, and play one more game 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I learned an important lesson from a doctor who is on our advisory council, advisory board, Dr. Decker Weiss, that talked about there's actually 2 types of muscle cramps.
Oh.
If you're in the midst of an activity and you begin to cramp, that's a likely sign of a potassium deficiency.
Okay.
If you cramp up after the event, if you're getting sort of Charlie horses in the middle of the night, that's a likely sign of magnesium deficiency. So we say the pickleball stack begins with pickleball cocktail because it contains 800 milligrams of potassium. Is that a lot? Well, it's about the equivalent of 2 bananas worth of potassium. I hate bananas. I don't know why. I just never liked them growing up. So I'm like, well, I'm not getting potassium that way.
Right.
So I was combining Mag Soothe, Electrolyte Supreme, and another product that we make called Adrenal Cocktail.
Okay.
Combine those together because then I could get more potassium.
Okay.
That is what led to the name Pickleball Cocktail.
Because it was literally a cocktail.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So tell me about those 3 things. So there's Pickleball Cocktail, which is kind of like, that's like the prehab, if you will. That's the before.
Pre-game like a pro.
There it is. So that's your before.
Electrolyte Supreme is your during.
Okay.
Hydrate and replenish. It is broad spectrum electrolytes, potassium, magnesium, but also sodium, calcium, and chloride. And then B vitamins as the energy source. So a lot of electrolytes will use sugar and or caffeine as the energy source. And our belief is that you can get those pretty easily anywhere.
Yes.
Go to Starbucks, wherever you want. This is not, by the way, hashtag not a sponsor.
Right.
Starbucks not a sponsor.
No,
not yet, are they?
No, not yet.
Are we trying to get them?
Not yet. I have, yes.
Okay, Starbucks,
Yes.
stop
We
by,
love you.
everybody.
We
yeah,
love
it's
you.
Like, you're welcome anytime. And so B vitamins are what we use as the source of energy because those are just harder to get.
Yep.
Again, this was all formulated by my dad. Step 3 is Mag Soothe.
Right.
Many people look at it and say Mag Smooth, but it's actually Mag Soothe, as in soothing.
Yes.
And that contains a lot of magnesium. It has some potassium as well, but it's really balanced for after. So remember, 2 types of muscle cramps, pre-game with potassium, replenish or relax or what's the name of this podcast?
Recover.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Recover with Mag Soothe.
Got it. And I can say that most people don't get enough magnesium. And,
that is true. That's true.
I'm part of like a athlete forum, and that's like one of the go-to supplements that we were just talking about. Like how much magnesium are you getting in your body? And people are like, what? And it was like, oh, no. You need to get, like 400, 800 milligrams. And then depending on what your activity is, you might need even more if you're blowing through it.
Yep.
But someone at your booth gave me some Mag Soothe the other day for after singles.
Yeah.
Because I played singles, and they were like, you're going to take this before you go to bed.
Yep.
And that's going to help your body feel better the next day.
Did it work?
And it did. I felt better. I felt really good the next day. I was.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. I mean,
it actually worked?
I was. What a concept.
Hold on. Can I get a copy of this so we can? We've been looking for a testimonial from somebody. This would be great.
There you go. Yeah,
okay.
Happy to share. Happy to share.
That'd be really lovely.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different things that I've been adding to my prehab, and post game that are been really useful. But what I always tell people about is like, how are you feeding the machine? What's the machine running on?
Yeah.
And most of us go to a convenience store and we feed it nicotine, caffeine, sugar, and or alcohol.
Sounds delicious.
I mean, that's every convenience store out there, right? That's just full of all those substances. So what are the substances our bodies really want in order to feel better faster?
Yeah.
And magnesium is one of those key ingredients. So
absolutely. So magnesium, one of the things I've learned over the years from running Jigsaw Health, calcium and magnesium, they sort of work together like two kids on
Teammates.
a teeter-totter.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you got calcium doing this thing and magnesium doing this thing. The problem is if you get one kid that's too big versus the other, if you get too much calcium, because calcium clenches and magnesium relaxes. And you need that throughout your whole body. Your heart especially. Clench, relax. Clench, that's the whole movement.
Capillaries,
inside.
muscle.
Exactly. But it's a lot easier to get calcium in our diet than magnesium.
Yes.
Calcium, dairy, cheese, all those kinds of things. Magnesium, green leafy vegetables. I'm sure your listeners are eating tons of green leafy vegetables. But,
I'm sure they
But everyone else seems to have a problem.
I think it's the taste.
They're awful.
They're awful. Aside from that, they're great.
No, I mean, they're good for you.
We all know that.
Duh.
Eat your green leafy vegetables. Do I have to?
Yeah. Yeah.
I blend mine with chocolate protein powder.
I can't blame you.
So to just hide that misery.
That's right. So you said something. There's a doctor named Dr. Mildred Seelig, wrote a book called The Magnesium Factor, and she came up with a formula for magnesium consumption that she recommended. So the current recommended daily intake is 420 milligrams for adults.
There you go.
But her formula came up with like 5 milligrams per pound of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, 200 times 5, that's 1,000 milligrams per day that you should be getting. And there's a guy named Dr. Morley Robbins who, or he's not a doctor, he's a medical researcher. He came up with a sort of corollary that's like that formula plus under stress, your body uses more magnesium because you can't make energy, ATP, adenosine triphosphate.
Yep.
See, kids, he's more than just good looking.
He knows something.
Magnesium creates ATP.
Gotcha.
So, I don't know, some nerdy stuff in there.
No,
too.
I'm happy to nerd out on this because I think for a lot of people, they suffer from another acronym, which is SAD, the Standard American Diet. And without really diving down a rabbit hole, let's just say, suffice to say that the factory farmed food that most of us eat in the United States that isn't fast food, even just the factory farm food, is just not a sufficient source of a lot of these essential vitamins. And then on top of that, the RDA recommended daily allowance that the FDA recommends is to prevent scurvy.
Yeah.
It's not to live an optimal, healthy life as an athlete or as a rec person who's doing sports.
Ding, ding, ding. That's correct.
So a lot of us will look at those things. It'll say % of RDA and be like, oh, I'm good.
I'm
it's
100%.
Like, great. You're not going to get scurvy. Congratulations.
And those numbers are reviewed very infrequently. Yeah. It's interesting so, a lot of people think that dietary supplements are not regulated.
Right.
So, that's not been approved by the FDA.
Right.
Dietary supplements are regulated by the FDA. They're just regulated differently than pharmaceuticals. And where was I going with that?
I don't know, but it sounded cool.
RDA. Yep. Oh, yeah. So the amount of things that you should get, those are sort of like many, many, many years old.
Yes.
In fact, magnesium only recently was boosted from 400 to 420.
Gotcha.
But it's sort of like, is that even enough? I don't know. So I don't know who sets those numbers, but
I really appreciate the more like per body weight because, you have two different people out there who's, one's literally twice the mass of the other and you're telling them both they need the same amount.
Yeah.
And it's just like that that doesn't add up.
Right.
So that's really cool. Kind of, we've talked a little bit about like who you guys are, what the products are. Kind of talk to me a little bit about like, with all the different ways that you can enter a space, like why this space? Like why do you do what you do? Tell me the why behind the what.
Well, when we found pickleball, my wife Ashley and I, we were in Flagstaff in the summer of 2018.
Okay.
And she was like, "Hey, I want to go play pickleball." And I was like, "Pickle what?"
Sure, of course.
And so it was sort of like, "Gosh, this is great. This is fun." I played a decent amount of tennis growing up, and she had never played any tennis. And we had gone out one time to try and play tennis, and it was, of course, crash and burn.
Yes.
It's one of those sports that, like you said, it's not fun to be bad at.
No.
But pickleball, here we were sort of hitting the ball over the net. We didn't know really anything about it, but we went out the next day to open play, and they're like, "We'll show you how to." And so we started to just like, okay, this makes sense. This is kind of fun. And when we changed the tagline, "It's fun to feel good," that sort of was, so that was in the summer of 2019 when we had attended Picklepalooza at Bobby Riggs in Encinitas, California, put on by Dave Fleming.
Amazing.
And there was a bunch of great pros there. And we met them and we began to learn that, like, no, pickleball is like, it's a grueling event. It's all day.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you want to win gold,
Oh,
tournament days
100%.
are like crazy.
Endurance fest.
Yes, exactly. And that's when we began to really realize, okay, we actually have some really good products for pickleball. So Jigsaw Health, my dad, kudos to him, created all these great formulas, but we were never really in a specific community before, other than perhaps the naturopathic doctor community. So
Okay.
there's a lot of naturopaths that carry our products at their office. But I don't know. I guess Ashley and I saw this as like, this would be a really interesting community to be a part of. And
Yes.
most of our marketing before had been all basically sort of direct response, take it or leave it. You want 1 bottle, 3 bottles, or 6 bottles. You know, ooh, sorry, sir.
He wants 6.
Okay, he wants 6?
Yeah.
That's my kind of customer. But one of the things that we really wanted to, we kind of felt like you can't get repetition with that audience. It's sort of
Right.
like a take it or leave it
Yeah.
offer,
Very
and you hope you
transactional.
convert,
Yep.
1, 2, or 3% of it.
Yeah.
And we're like, pickleball seems like an audience that would be great. I mean, our products are like practically tailor-made for them.
Yeah.
And you've got these, 2 brand new tours launching, the
Yeah.
PPA tour and the APP tour, and these pros that aren't under contract with anybody, but it seems like we could begin to work with some of them.
Yep.
And at Picklepalooza, we sent them home with a number of samples, and like 30, 45 days later, began to get some text messages from them being like, hey, can I get some more of this stuff? Right?
That's
So
the great text right there.
right. So that's where it kind of, at Nationals 2019, we made the decision that we were like, okay, let's just jump into the deep end. Let's make a cannonball, not dip our toe.
Right.
Let's
Go.
jump in, go big.
Yep.
And on the commercial side, the funny part is we didn't really know we were going to go that route.
Okay.
Sort of the, people refer to it as like the This Is Sports Center kind of thing, where the pros are at our office.
Yeah.
But really, I need to also give a big shout out to Corey. He's the director of video productions.
Okay.
He's also my cousin, but
Okay.
he is a graduate of USC Film School. So
Oh.
all of the commercials that
Right.
you've seen are all produced in-house. Like, people are like, who's your agency?
Amazing.
I'm like, it's us. It's
Wow.
Corey. It's RJ. It's Christian. It's Jamie. It's our team, our creative
It's the
team.
family.
It's the family. It literally is a family with Corey. And one of the first commercials that we did was Lucy Has a Wicked Backhand, going through the office, and we were like, man, what are we going to do? Oh, we knew on film, we were like, this is going to be great. The other commercial that we filmed that weekend was Matt Wright, where he's like acting like he's, hey, Dorothy, how can I help you? And he's like on
Customer
customer service,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And then he
yes.
pulls away, and it's like, come on, the classic
Closes
Matt
it.
Wright.
Yes.
And then you get the like sort of the mixture of The Office of
Right.
like, does he do that every time? It's like, every time. And then she jims the camera.
So good. So good.
And from there, we just kind of went crazy with the script ideas. The pros especially have been awesome to work with, because they all, like, the first time they're there, they're kind of nervous and they're not sure and they're not actors. And we're
Right.
like, just trust us, it'll work good. The second time they're there, they're like, hair, makeup, let's go. Okay, I need my line. What's my blocking? It's just so great.
What's my motivation?
Yeah, what's my motivation? So it's been a blessing to work with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I find the culture in the community is what's drawn me in as much as anything else. I went to, like, my first year, I went to Tyson McGuffin's pickleball camp, 2-day camp. It was in Newport Beach. It's at the TTC, which is like the tennis center.
Mm-hmm.
The word "the" gets a T. That's how you know.
It's important.
It's so Newport Beach, but it's beside the point. So I go having a great time with him and Jay DeVilliers and Callie Smith and Leah Jansen. Just amazing crew. But there's a tennis tournament on the grounds at the same time, and the vibe is dead. It's like a library.
Oh.
I mean, everybody's serious. Nobody's talking to each other. It's like you don't even want to, like, just cough. It was just a bad vibe. A month later, I played in my first tournament there, and there was like a PA up on, like, the restroom stall blasting AC/DC while we were playing. I mean, it was like a concert festival. People are drinking White Claw in between, like, their matches. And I left with all these new friends, and the vibe was like, the thing about the pickleball community is you can't take yourself that serious when you play a sport with the word pickle in it.
That's right.
It's like a filter for people who are too uptight.
That's right.
They can't come in. They're just like, I can't do it. So
Yeah.
they stay out. It's like, great, stay away.
Yeah.
Those who come in don't take themselves too seriously and are willing to play in the sandbox together.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what makes this community so rad. And what happens, the other thing that I've noticed happening is people disappear off the courts for like 4 or 6 weeks at a time. And like, Bob, where'd you go? Oh, I had a shoulder. Sherry, where'd you go? Oh, I had a knee. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like I had a baby. You know, they had something. What did you have? I had an injury, you know, from playing too much.
That's right.
And I just, and that was me. I had to take 7 weeks off to rehab a shoulder and then yada, yada. And I was like, this is the worst. It's like getting detention when you're a kid and you can't go to recess. So it's like, how do you get out of detention faster? What do I do? I'll do whatever you want me to do,
That's
teacher.
Right.
And so that's what prompted me to launch the podcast and to launch the platform, was to help everybody recover faster so they can just spend more time doing what we all love.
Pickleball Injury Support Group.
You can see, we're on the same page.
That's right.
That's exactly it.
I just sit and stare out the window.
I'm dead inside. I don't know if that's a line, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite commercials because it's so subtle. Catherine Prento. Okay, how's everybody been doing? You know, and you see like the sign. We always try to do like show, don't tell. So it's like, instead of like, welcome to Pickleball Injury Support Group, it's better to have like Catherine just be like, so how's everybody been feeling? And then you kind of see the sign later.
Nice.
It's
Subtle.
Like, I've been watching a lot of Netflix. It's like, I've just been playing. I think maybe my line is I've been playing a lot of Scrapple. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Scrapple. Camera slow zoom, you know, slow pan, and then Ashley's like, been watching on Netflix, and then showed Johnny, who literally can do a backflip and has done some backflips in our video. He's got the neck brace on. He's like, I just sit and stare out the window, and then roll over. Yeah, RJ's like, don't you do that anyways? RJ, well, I'm just here for the demo. Oh, well, no. Sorry. It's been a while since we made this commercial. That it's coming back to me, though. Then you got Johnny, like, looking at him. What's your injury? Like, you're right. The amount of laughter that happens after cut is like...
it's got to be epic.
Well, that's why we have also filmed a number, or we've also released a number of bloopers, which I believe you can find, jigsawbloopers.com.
Oh, brilliant.
It's a bunch of, it's a compilation of the bloopers from those commercials, which are sometimes funnier than the commercials themselves. Yeah.
Always love the outtakes. Back in the day when we still bought DVDs, and they would have them on there, and you'd just be like, thank you. This is so good.
It's just, I don't know, it just... Life is what you make it, and this is how we're making it.
Yeah.
Because it's fun to feel good.
It is fun to feel good, and you guys have brought just a tremendous amount of levity and fun and playfulness into the product space.
Yeah.
And it fits the community perfectly.
And also some product and a little bit of science-y, too.
Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, it's impressive. It's
juxtaposition.
Just like, he knows things. Before we go, though, I want to ask you to tell us a little bit about Pickle Parrot.
Oh, you mean... How do we spell it? Pickleballparrot.com is a website that I started in the summer of 2020 because it was so hard to keep track of which tournaments were happening, where, and when.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
So we essentially, again, my wife and I, in fact, that morning we were talking about it because she was saying, we just need a site that people can go to find out who's playing, where it's playing, and when it's happening. I was like,
is this too much to ask?
I was like, you know what? Okay, how are we going to brand this thing? And we were like, the Pickleball TV Guide or whatever. And it's like, you know what? One of the brands I love is MailChimp.
Okay, yeah.
And we're like, okay, let's do something with an animal of some sort. So we bought the pickleballpelican.com, and we were working on it, and all of a sudden we were like, wait a second. I think we were thinking stork. It's a stork that delivers the baby, not a pelican. What a bunch of idiots. So like an hour or two later, we're like, what about the parrot? That would work. Pickleball parrot. You got the P in the P.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing is
Who loves
called.
an alliteration?
Alliteration.
Come
Thank
on.
you. God,
yes.
Thanks for having me back on that one. And within I think a day and a half, we had the dev team and the creative team launch it all together.
Wow.
I made one post, and there was like 173 people that signed up like in 6 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. And then we realized like we used some of the wrong WordPress plugins, so we migrated over to actually a great platform that I've found called Ghost.io, I think is what it is.
Okay.
But it's sort of like WordPress, but easier and less buggy, I guess I would say.
Okay.
So I think there's now approaching 700 or so subscribers to the Pickleball Parrot. I keep it updated pretty regularly. I mean, actually, I don't think I've ever missed a tournament or a notification.
Wow. Nice.
So yeah, sign up. Would love to have you there. It's ironically enough sponsored by Jigsaw Health.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? Those guys.
Yeah.
Watch out for those guys.
I know. But I think you can get a coupon on there or something like that too.
That's smart.
I really didn't want to do it. It cuts into my Lamborghini fund.
Oh.
But, you know.
You were so close.
You know.
But
can't get everything.
Who's counting the years till that happens? No one's counting.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick. Well, listen, thanks so much for being on Pickleball Recovery.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, you bet. Wee-hoo. Thanks so much for listening. Do you want to know the number one mistake picklers